Dart Skill presents Comparing Fractions. In this video we are going to talk about how to compare fractions, that is, given two fractions, find out which is more and which is less. You can think of a fraction as a division. For example, the fraction 2/3 is the same as the division problem 2 divided with 3, also written as 2 inside the division sign and 3 outside. So the numerator is the dividend and the denominator is the divisor. And given a set of fractions on the same denominators, for example, let's say 3/5, 1/5 and 2/5, you could change each one of them to the corresponding division sentence. So this is 3 divided with 5, this is 1 divided with 5, and this one's 2 divided with 5. And then if the divisors are all the same, the smaller the dividend, the smaller the quotient or the value of the fraction. So this is the smallest dividend, or you look at the numerator because the numerator is the dividend. So this is the smallest of the three fractions, and this is the largest because this is the largest dividend, and then 2/5 is the median one. So if you were to arrange them from smallest to largest, the smallest is 1/5, that's even smaller than or less than 2/5, and that's smaller than 3/5. Similarly, if you were to compare the fractions, let's say 4/10, 7/10, 1/10 and 9/10, they're all on the same denominators, which means in the division sentence it's the same divisor for each one, and therefore the smaller the numerator or the dividend, the smaller the fraction is. So we could say 1/10 is less than 4/10, is less than 7/10, and that's less than 9/10. And then how do we compare fractions on the same numerator? For example, 6/7, 6/11 and 6/10 or 6/10. Which is the smallest of these three, or which is the largest? Look at these fractions. This time they have the same numerator, which means they have the same dividend. So given the same dividend on three division problems, the smaller the divisor, the larger is the quotient. So this time you just got to look at the smallest divisor and make that the largest fraction. So 6/7 is the largest and 6/11 is the smallest. 6/11 is less than 6/10, and that's less than 6/7. Because dividing 6 with 7 will give you a larger answer than dividing 6 with 10, and dividing 6 with 10 will give you a larger answer as compared to dividing 6 with 11. So now you know how to compare fractions that are either on the same denominators or on the same numerators. But how about comparing fractions in which neither the denominators nor the numerators are the same? For example, how would you compare 3/7 with 4/9? Which is more out of these two, or which is less? Well, in this case you could either change both numerators to the same number, which is the LCM or the least common multiple of the numerators, or change both denominators to their LCM. Let me show you both methods. Let me write same numerator first. Same numerator. The LCM of 3 and 4 is 12, so the idea is to change this to 12 by timesing with 4. So you got to do the same on the button, times with 4, and then times this with 3 to get a 12, and times this with 3. Remember, you can use an equivalent form of the fraction, but you cannot change the fraction. And that's why it's important that you multiply the numerator and the denominator on each one of them with the same number. 4 and 4, 3 and 3. So then 3/7 would change to 12 over 28, 7 times 4 is 28, and 4 9s changes to 12 over 27. 9 times 3 is 27. And now if you compare these two using this strategy I showed you, they're on the same numerators. Larger the denominator, smaller the fraction is. 28 is larger than 27, therefore 12 28s is smaller than 12 27s. In other words, 3 7s, which was equivalent to 12 28s, is smaller than 4 9s, which is equivalent to 12 27s. What if you change them to the same denominators instead? Same denominators. The least common multiple or LCM of 7 and 9 is 63. So the idea is to have both fractions on the same denominator, which is 63. And to do that, you multiply 7 with 9. I'm just going to overwrite this, the previous one, same numerator. And so you got to multiply 3 with 9 as well to keep the fraction equivalent. And 3 times 9 is 27. So this is 27 over 63. That's the equivalent form of 3 7s. And similarly, you multiply 9 with 7 to get this 63, and multiply 4 with 7, so this becomes 28. And now that they are on the same denominators, the smaller the numerator, the smaller the fraction is. Therefore, 27 63rds, which is representing 3 7s, is smaller than 28 63rds, which represents 4 9s. So either way, you have the same answer.